getting crazy, folks. What is the president doing arming al-Qaeda, changing the name to ISIL, ISIS, Islamic State to confuse people, and now he's going to get tough on them by arming the good rebels? That is them. That is so naked, so 2 + 2 = 5, so ridiculous. Of course we built our businesses. Of course raising the debt limit raises the debt limit. Of course they're coming after our guns. Of course the NSA is spying on us. I can hardly breathe. I'm having like an anxiety attack over this. This is incredible. When you know the players, you know the facts. And I was hoping Colonel Schaefer, who I know for a long time and who I trust, would come on and correct me. But instead, he came on and confirmed everything I already knew, and I wanted to throw up. Is it possible to arm non-radical rebels and have them kick al-Qaeda out? No.
Across the border in Syria, we have ramped up our military assistance to the Syrian opposition. Tonight, I call on Congress again to give us additional authorities and resources to train and equip these fighters. In the fight against ISIL, we cannot rely on an Assad regime that terrorizes its own people, a regime that will never regain the legitimacy it has lost. Instead, we must strengthen the opposition as the best counterweight to extremists like ISIL, while pursuing the political solution necessary to solve Syria's crisis once and for all.
To your point in the opening, Alex, the very people that are now the president's going to talk about trying to kill and roll back are the ones that he gone about conducting the airstrikes, destabilizing the Assad regime last summer. Had we done that, they would now be in charge of all of Syria, and they would have had not only the army they've stolen from Iraq, they would have had pretty much the whole Syrian army, which is it's not an unformidable force.
Well, we're even hearing from the family members of one of the journalists who reportedly had his head sawed off by these crazies that it's the so-called good rebels in Syria that sold him to ISIS. And I've seen Pentagon numbers of 65% of the jihadis there in Syria are al-Qaeda or ISIS linked. What's the numbers you've got?
The numbers are higher than that, and I don't want to get into it because I've been told exactly what they think they are, and I have to stay away from that. But let me just tell you they're higher. And this is the concern that you and your audience, I think, really need to internalize here, is that funding these guys fundamentally may well help destabilize Assad, but when they're done with Assad, they're coming back towards us. There is no good to be had from funding these militia. And as you point out, Alex, rightfully, that these so-called allies, these guys that we were working with, sold the journalist, one of the American journalists, to ISIS for purposes of their own making. So there are, let me be painfully clear here, there are no good radical Muslim militia. Anytime we fund something like that, it will come back to bite us. One of the policy points we just made to members in Congress here, Alex, is the fact we have invested in a workable military organization in the Middle East. These consist of militaries that we have helped shape: the Egyptian military, the Jordanian military. These are all militaries which we've invested in. They have sent officers to the military academies, to the war colleges, and for goodness sake, why would we not want to work with them, such as the Egyptians, who right now, by the way, Alex, are doing what we should have done in Libya. The Egyptian military is now trying to retake the cities we allowed al-Qaeda to take in Libya, and they're engaging in against these very sort of militia in the Sinai Peninsula, trying to help the Israelis out. So again, we tend to actually do damage to the very allies we have, such as the Egyptians, and yet we fund these guys, and what we see here are again the tragic results of journalists being beheaded. And I was in the meeting with the Syrians who have been displaced by ISIS. I was in a meeting with the Christians yesterday who were and Alex, let me be clear here. They don't want to come here. They just want to have help regaining their 5,000-year-old cities who they've lived there in peace for thousands of years. They want them back. They don't want to come here. And yet somehow we have allowed for this ISIS to destabilize the region. And again, it's not like they're going to just take Assad out. They're going to try to establish their own state, and they're going to come here to kill us next.
All these years supposedly to take out al-Qaeda, being backed by Saudi Arabia and others, and now they've got hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions, and we're told, oh, just give more money to the non-radical group that's the minority, and as you said, are radical as well. This sounds like more covert funding of ISIS and maybe a payoff to get them to stop attacking Iraq and to go back after Assad. I mean, there's got to be some real policy here, or is some covert policy, or is this really total ineptitude? Because I remember you here years ago when Benghazi took place on 9/11 saying it was an arms deal to get weapons to al-Qaeda. We just call them ISIS now. So give us the inside scoop.
The policy is one that's been heavily influenced by, I believe, what is the issue we should have been dealing with the past 12 years, Alex, which is something called the Muslim Brotherhood. And as much as I think a lot of folks have been made to think that they are a moderate organization, they are not. And since last we talked, I met with General al-Tuhimi. General al-Tuhimi is the chief of intelligence for the Egyptian nation. He is a mentor of now President al-Sisi. And during my meeting with him, Alex, we spoke about a number of things. And one of those things is the Muslim Brotherhood. There are clear and concise reasons, Alex, that the Egyptians outlawed the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood have been the reason that while we have met al-Qaeda and defeated them in every tactical engagement for the past 12 years, anytime we have to fight them, we win. The reason that al-Qaeda has not been defeated is because you have the Brotherhood, who is essentially the feeding organization. They're the ones who are behind the scenes helping fund al-Qaeda, all along pretending to be a quote-unquote moderate organization. An organization, by the way, that is closely aligned to an organization called CARE, right here in the United States. The Holy Land Foundation was an unindicted, who were members of the Holy Land Foundation were convicted because of their links to the Brotherhood. The same Holy Land Foundation had members of CARE who were unindicted co-conspirators. So right there is all you need.